Hello, this is Josie Leach, and this is my final project for ED/ET 628 Technology in Instructional Design with Dr. Lee Graham. I wrote my final on the Alaska Content Standards and ISTE Net Standards for students. The math section for K-5 states the standards state that we are to provide students with a solid foundation in whole numbers and fractions, which help young students build the foundation to successfully apply more demanding math skills and procedures. With that said, I am building this lesson plan with websites and iPad applications to incorporate technology into this lesson plan as well. Stage 1, Understanding by Design UBD template. Stage 1 is the desired results. Established goals. Alaska State Standards state that this unit will target 1. It'll make sense of math fraction problems and proceed in solving them. 2. Reason abstractly and quantitatively by understanding fractions and how they compare to whole numbers. 3. Construct viable arguments and analyze the reasoning of others via the blog review. And 4. Appropriate use of strategic tools. The transfer is use of newly learned concepts as a way to strengthen their math skills, to understand fractions and how they correspond to whole numbers. The meaning, understanding. Students will understand that 1. Students will be able to use tools and formulas to solve math function problems. The essential question that comes with that is how can you solve math problems with the newly learned formulas? And 2, the students will be able to use math skills to compare parts of a whole number. How can a whole number be broken into equal parts? And the acquisition is that the students will be able to use reasoning and learn skills to solve whole number problems. Also, the students will blog after each unit reflecting what they learned. These blogs can be used as a reference guide at a later time. The students will be skilled at. The students will be able to reason abstractly and quantitatively to solve number problems. The student will be able to take notes effectively to help retain learning. They will also be able to support their peer student reflect by giving useful comments. Stage 2 is the evidence stage. The evaluative criteria. Look at the established goals and how to meet each goal. Creating a grading criteria and align the rubric with the goals. The performance task for the assessment evidence. The student will demonstrate the performance task through each of the following types of evidence. Able to demonstrate formative performance, which supports the student's progress is on track. Students will complete self-assessment tests both at the beginning and the end of the lesson units. Assessments will be used to determine if the students are in range, below average, average, or above average levels. Post-assessment will be used to measure each student's achievement via the practice score sheets to determine the growth from the pre-assessment test. Observation. Evaluate each student and create a grading curve. Find the mid-range grade. Other evidence. We'll use technology devices such as tablets and websites to test the knowledge of each student. Incorporate the NET-S standards. Stage 3. This is the learning plan. The summary of key learning events and instructions. Pre-test assessment to record the student's pre-knowledge level. Deliver student plan. I have 6 total. Student will blog after each lesson plan to support that they understand what the lesson was. One student will grade the other student's blog. The blog will be rotated to a different student each time. Please see the schedule on page 2 for the peer reviews. Of course, it can be expanded for additional students. 4 is distribute student aids. Flashcards, which I assume will either be handed out or printed off a website later. Number line worksheets, website app games, and a fraction reference strip that I included. And 5 is post-test to measure the student's growth after all the lessons have been delivered. Here's the Where To section. As you see, I incorporated all the steps in the method from the Where To section to ensure that I have met each criteria. Below is the blog grading that I would assume each student do when they do their peer review for the blogs. It's pretty simple, and I include the schedule like I mentioned. This can be, of course, like I said, expanded to more students. I just did 6 because that's the number of lesson plans that I have. And this is the form I created with the name and the peer, and then they grade the writer of the blog. 2 points that they understood it, 1 for partial, and 0 that they didn't. And then the comments for the writer of the blog. And then below is the teacher grading rubric. This aligns with the criteria from earlier. I used below average, average, and above average. Right here we would include the pre-assessment score. So this you would actually just enter the total number of correct questions the student had in the pre-assessment, and then right here, and post is later on, so we can just look at the before and after to look at the growth. Thinking is using planning, processing, and critical thinking process to create and solve involving fraction. Knowledge and understanding, they can demonstrate understanding of concepts related to fractions as equal parts of a whole number. Application is 2 parts, applies knowledge and skills effectively to demonstrate fractional parts of a whole number, and they are able to represent fractions using the fraction symbol. Communication uses appropriate mathematical conventions, vocabulary, and terminology to describe reasoning and procedures related to fraction. Expresses and organized mathematical thinking and working effectively. I believe that both of these will be mostly in what we see in the blogs. And then this is the post-assessment test. It's the same as the pre-test as you see later. You'll just enter the score here. And then these are the blog points from the peer review would go here. I would assume I would use this the rubric, grading rubric. I would add all the points in the rows down and then across, and then I would figure out the average score from there. And this is the pre-test, as I mentioned, just to see where the student is before the class. It's actually pretty easy. There's name and date, what's the biggest part and the smallest part of a pizza. Look at these 5 questions and note them on the number line. And then here I kind of incorporated more hands-on stuff for the student. They can draw a circle, a square, or rectangle showing the fraction that's noted below. And this is my lesson plan. The preparation is going to be the assessment tests. These are the links for a couple websites that I mentioned. We'll give out the fraction strip resource, fraction cards like I said, and the number line sheet. Here's a couple of math apps that we might use. The lesson plan or hands-on activity is going to be talking about how it pieces a whole and how we would need to cut it and to divide it into however many pieces we need, and then to put it back together as a whole. We can also use apples and cookies. In other lessons, I've used Legos. Children respond pretty well to that in the younger grades, older too. And here are my units. This is my activities. So lesson 1 is the pre-assessment. Lesson 2 is I would give the lesson plan as noted above and distribute the student tools, which are the flashcards, the number line worksheets, reference strip, an internet website, and iPad apps. Lesson 3, we would use the flashcards. I assume that we would give out flashcards or we would print them from this website right here. There's so many, I didn't include them on here. The number line activity, I did include that. You'll see that. And then the computer website and iPad apps, which I listed above. Students respond pretty well to those. And then a post-assessment test, which is the same test as the pre-test, just to look at what answers the student gave and how they grew during this intro lesson plan. So again, here's a student 8. Here's the flashcards. We'll give them a number line worksheets. They're the website or app games. And this is a fraction strip for a reference. So this is the fraction reference strip that I was talking about. 1 whole, half, It goes all the way down to 12 so that they can get an idea of the equal parts for 1. And then this is the number line sheets. It's the line and the fraction, and they just need to mark what each one is on the line. And then here's some more of the hands-on stuff. This is the, as I said before, it's a box, and they can write a circle, a square, a rectangle, showing the fraction below. And then this is the post-test. This is the same as the pre-test, just to see the difference in the students' growth after the lesson plans. And that is everything. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Have a good day.